like I was saying, salutations, Al Hay, praise life, celebratories. This is the second part of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and we were talking about Martin Luther King extending himself to Rosa Parks, and I met Rosa Parks. And Rosa Parks in the books of old in Sanskrit, even in Exain, Shain, China, Mongolia, Africa, they know her as the Red Wolf. And the diction of a red wolf could be found in the thesaurus, dictionary, or lexiconian, about a woman who would go into a kingdom, denoted the word king. And she would sleep with the king. And while sleeping with the king, the red wolf would whisper into the king's ears. She would say, "Your queen is trying to betray you." The king would take note of it, and as kings have responses outside of the kingdom, having other kingdoms, a lot of people don't know that, and they always go on liaisons to visit other kingdoms and territories they may have. The king would leave, go to the next territory, and the red wolf would find herself in the bed sleeping with the queen. And after sleeping with the queen, she would whisper something into the queen's ear. The king, "Oh, great queen, is trying to betray you." Her mode of saying, not Rosa, but the subject that I'm subjecting to rejection without interjection or interception, saying the red wolf, which is a parallelism, because that's what Rosa was. And a lot of people cannot defeat their quantum fate, saying they are born to build or born to destroy. Get me what I'm saying? And she didn't know what part in life she was playing, or she could have, or she may have defeated her quantum by ignoring her short fuse. And that wasn't her character, because I met Rosa. Rosa's divine. But like everybody, you work 40 hours a week, and during that timeline, you had to sit in the back of a vehicle. Your feet are tired. It's not written in anybody's book that Rosa had a good day that day at the job, or even a good week. And they may have been riding her like white folks ride black folks all the damn time. That wasn't a divinity in her. That was the dirt in her panties. That attitude, that she was being done wrong. That was the dirt right under the underlining, the bottom of her bra, because women, they sweat. That wasn't the divinity in her. That wasn't the angelos that was in her, the Verta that was in her. That was her human cry. And if Martin had any sense, he would have invited her to his house and showed her his beautiful wife and his children. As a secular, generational socialist, being a preacher, that's what preachers are, socialists. They deal with socialisms. I'm going to tell you the difference between an Allahumma and a Malakat. Allahumma, they are the aiders of politicians. They aid politicians. That's Allahumma. While the Malakat deal with pure socialism during a time of cultivating, in which we're going through in the King Alfred Dragonis plan, refurbishing the system, refurbishing the United States in terms of trying to avoid the turmoil that this man, Martin Luther King, created. by sending himself to a single woman or a married woman that had nothing to do with him and the woman in his life. Excuse me. To the naked eye, the man would be beguiled by a woman, parallel to the story of the red wolf, the king being beguiled by a woman and inviting this woman to his bed. The woman separating him from his queen. The red wolf destroying the kingdom. Get it? King, kingdom. It used to be a cartoon on television. If I can remember, it was called Dungeons and Dragons. And this cartoon, they used to come on Saturday morning. They would show 2 or 3 different choices that this cartoon character would choose on his adventures, and they would go over every choice and the outcome. 2 of the 3 choices would be death and destruction. So they kept showing this character dying. Then they show him, they rewind the cartoon back and say, this is his other choice. Then this choice, he would be safe. Of course, they would take the safe choice and he would be on his way. The same thing for us. You have to be responsive. You have to meet your responsibilities. You have to respond. You have to respond to everyday struggles in life. Rosa allowed her lower side, which you should oppress, depress, compress, suppress, and bypress and constrict and restrict. You never let your lower side out. When you're out amongst the populace of this world, and you show 20% of your personality. Saying any more than 20% of your personality is showing a deep agate or a shadow of the valley of death of what you are, saying you're taking people to a dark place. That's proper protocol for anybody that's willing to stand in front of a camera. And I love Rosa. Met her when I was 15. But it wasn't until I got older when I understood the trilogies before my time, and those trilogies that are documented in our books, in our quantum whale, our fate as human beings. In the book by, I believe his name is Edward Green, in 42 Points of Power. In this case, we're dealing with 64 points of power. And you have to dodge walking in somebody else's shoes. That's the name of the game. Well, Rosa didn't dodge it. Neither did Martin Luther King. And people kind of figured that Martin Luther King was some great man to the naked eye, and a person just arriving, he was a sleepwalker who would follow somebody who was daydreaming and sleeping. He was beguiled by a woman that wasn't his own, who would follow somebody who's weak for another woman, and could not explain to her the substance found in his own home and what he really must do, understanding that we are all victims of circumstances. And the problem with blacks and niggas today is they want to see something today that should happen down the road. Say, that slave that got off that ship in 1555 and was working in the position as a sharecropper, picking cotton with his own children, running around those fields as young children, he had a dream too. But he had a mind given to him by God, and he understood that is not in his timeline to even see that or partake in that fruit, but he looked on to his children running wild throughout that cotton field, and he said to himself, maybe they will partake in it. But my part in this game is to work hard, raise them right, and hopefully when that dream appears, they will be fixtures in that particular mixture, dealing with that reality. Right now, I've been chosen to deal with this reality. That's the difference between the older elders and the new elders. People want to partake of fruit that is yet to be planted as seeds. Rosa Parks was a red wolf. I have a lot of respect for Rosa, but Rosa, you're wrong. Destroy the kingdom. And I'm not fighting for the kings because in terms of folly and foolishness, it was just downright foolish. Nobody challenges the four heads that run a quarter share of the earth and hemisphere. Martin Luther King challenged them, and he met the fate of many people who did not understand organization of spirits, saying the president has a different spirit in he than that which he presides over. And the educator, I'm educating everybody here, I have a different spirit inside of me than that which I educate, so please be studious to my nature. Be my students. Salutations. Praise life, Al Hay, celebratories or celebratories and decorations. Beautiful night. Y'all be safe.